This is Blue Gold News Now, your spot for current events, campus news, and everything in between. Now, live from Tower's basement, it's BNN with our hosts Alex Rubio and Marissa Day.
Good evening, I'm Alex Rubio.
And I'm Marissa Day.
Coming up tonight, community concerns about lower water pressure.
But first, the 9th annual Gatsby's Gala is set to be held this Saturday at the Davies Center. Gatsby's Gala is an event held each year to support the Jazz Studies program at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. This year's gala will feature performances from several university jazz ensembles, dramatic big bands, exquisite ballroom decor, and vintage black tie attire. The Gatsby Gala directly funds several jazz studies scholarships for UWEC students through ticket sales, a silent auction, and charity blackjack. New this year, a VIP experience will be available to guests, including an intimate jazz ensemble performance, dinner, and dessert. Tickets to Gatsby's Gala are available through the UW Eau Claire website at uwec.universitytickets.com.
The community of Eau Claire has pride in their hearts and excitement in the air as two local curling champions purchased their tickets to South Korea for the Youth Olympics this year. Ella Wendling, a junior from Wausau, and Benji Peril, a sophomore from Memorial High School, are two talented, accomplished, and experienced curlers who will be representing the U.S. this January in the Youth Olympics, says WQOW. Both Benji and Ella have competed in curling for as long as they can remember, winning multiple tournaments and qualifications. Benji specifically says he's had an affinity for the sport since he was old enough to walk. Benji and Ella are both excited for the opportunity to partake in the games and represent the U.S. in their chosen sport. But until that fateful day in January, they are hard at work training for their mixed doubles matchup. Best of luck to you, Ella and Benji.
Coming up after this break, we're talking about Prescription Take-Back Day.
Stay tuned. Prescription Take-Back Day was at the end of October.
BNN reporter Jet Sherry has the story.
Thanks, Alex and Marissa. The Eau Claire City County Health Department hosted a drug take-back day on October 28th. The event ran from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Marshfield Clinic. It allowed Eau Claire area residents to drop off any unneeded medication with no questions asked. It's important to dispose of unneeded medication. If it's left unattended, it could end up in the wrong hands and could hurt someone. That's why disposal events like this are important.
The National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day happens twice a year in the spring and the fall as an opportunity for community members to safely dispose of any sort of medication that they have within the home. So right now we're collecting any sort of prescriptions, over-the-counters, creams, liquids, and even pet medication.
There are also drop boxes in the area throughout the year. With both the drop boxes and events like this, the health department has been able to bring in over 15,000 pounds of unneeded medication in the last 5 years. Back to you, Alex and Marissa.
Thanks, Jet. Now that's real impressive that they've been able to do so much.
That is a lot of pounds of medication, not to lie.
Absolutely. Well, and what a great cause to talk about. I'm glad Jet had a chance, to go off and cover that story for us.
Yeah, exactly.
On Tuesday, November 7th, the UW Eau Claire women's volleyball team beat UW Stevens Point in a 3-1 upset in the first round of the WIAC volleyball tournament. It's been an exciting year for the UWEC women's volleyball team, whose hard work has shown throughout the regular season. Tuesday's game was tense, with a tie 13-13 at the halfway mark. The Blue Golds ultimately won the match against the number 4 seeded Pointers, with a ball hit out of bounds sealing the deal. After Tuesday's victory, the team will now move on to the second round of the WIAC volleyball tournament in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, to take on the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh Titans on Thursday, November 9th.
If you've been doing the dishes or taking a shower and have noticed lower water pressure, there just might be a reason for that. A small water line running to a house on Zephyr Hill Avenue broke on Monday morning and is leaking water. Crews are already underway patching the leak, and the community is assured that these kinds of leaks are sadly normal for this time of year. For the next few days, community members around the Zephyr Hills area can expect a lower water pressure as the crews begin digging up and patching the broken pipe. So did you notice any lower water pressure
No, I didn't, but that's university housing for you.
Well, I had noticed just a little bit, and I was like, what's going on here? Like, I had known it when I was just washing my hands on campus, and it seems like they've patched it up a little bit, and it's looked like from the story that they've gotten it patched up later that night, but on Monday it was a little weird, so just if anyone was wondering out there.
Good to hear, good to hear.
Indeed. But BNN will return with more information about the upcoming Foster Art Gallery show.
And more after this short break.
Welcome back to BNN, everyone.
The 67th Annual Student Juried Art Gallery started last week. The Ruth Foster Art Gallery, known for its wide variety of art shows, has opened its doors to students. The 67th Annual Juried Student Art Show has started, and this means dozens of works from students right here on campus line the walls. All pieces showing have been made within the last year and will be judged by a guest juror. Digital archivist Anna Carlson explains.
So this show is specifically student art. It's all things that were created in the last year, and then students could submit up to 3 pieces to the show. And then we had a guest juror whose name is Gal Cohen, and she went through and selected pieces to be part of this exhibit. And then at the end of the show, there's going to be awards for first, second, and third place.
The exhibit is open until the 15th of November, so if you haven't stopped by, you still have time to see the works of art. If you'd like to see the winners of the awards, a reception is being held on November 9th from 6 to 7:30. For more information on the exhibit and future exhibits, you can visit Ruth Foster Art Gallery at UW Eau Claire website. Coming up, we have our weather forecast by Nikki Wasted and Ellie Albrecht.
Stick around.
Thank you, Alex and Marissa. Good evening. My name is Ellie Albrecht.
And I'm Nikki Wasted. You'll be happy to find out that this week's weather won't be as cold as the last 2 weeks. Winter may be right around the corner, but the cold seems to be delayed for the next week or so. Today's temperature in Eau Claire stayed right around 47 degrees. However, it seemed like the temperature will be rising quite a bit in the coming days, which means you can keep that winter coat in your closet for a bit longer. As you can see, temperatures are pretty similar around the Eau Claire and surrounding areas. The Minneapolis area is at a nice 52 degrees, and the Bloomington area looks to be similar at 53 degrees. Red Wing will stay at an even 42, with Lake City close behind with 51 degrees, and the Chippewa Valley will remain a bit colder, with Menominee being at 49 degrees and Eau Claire being at 48 degrees, and the Chippewa Falls with the lowest temperature at 47 degrees today.
Looking forward to the next 7 days. As you can see, it will be a little bit cloudy with the sun shining through a bit. However, this coming up Monday, we will be sunny all day. When it comes to the temperature for the next 7 days, get ready to whip out your shorts and tuck away your jackets because it looks to be getting progressively warmer this coming up week. Thank you so much for joining us for weather this weekend. I'm Ellie Albrecht.
And I'm Nikki Wasted. Back to you, Marissa and Alex.
Thanks, Nikki and Ellie. Coming up after the break, we have BNN TalkBack returning.
Stay tuned.
Up next for tonight, we have BNN TalkBack returning. On TalkBack, we will gain further insight into some of our reporters' experiences, as well as deep dive interviews. Tonight, we have Hunter Tullius joining us on set.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing, Hunter?
I'm doing well. I always enjoy coming on.
Exactly. We had you on in the co-hosting position a few weeks ago.
I did, and I enjoyed it. It was very fun.
But not speaking so much on the co-hosting position, more so on reporting. How's reporting been for you? How have you been enjoying it? Any experiences?
I love reporting. I mean, I've been here at Eau Claire for probably 2 years. I've been doing reporting for my classes and stuff, and every time I do it, it's fun. I wish I would have joined TV10 sooner.
That's what a lot of people say.
It's a lot of fun. I know I'm going to remember my first report for BNN. I was going to cover Parents Weekend for the school, and I was going to try and do a package, but then I was going to do a VOSAT, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing. And then I went desperately looking for when the events were taking place, because I worked that weekend, and that's when all the main ones happened. So there was one event I could go to, and it was in the library, but it was not event. It wasn't an event. It was just like a spot where people stopped by. And so a bunch of groups came through, and then I showed up probably 5 minutes later, according to the person that was at the bookstore. That's what I meant, bookstore, not library.
Very good.
And they were like, oh yeah, everyone was just here. And I got one interview with someone. It was a great interview. He was really energetic. I asked, and the rest of his group was like, well, I don't think so, but he was immediately like, oh, I would love to. And the interview went great, everything went great, and then I was looking back at it, and I never asked his name. And I had no clue how to find his name, and so I was like, I can't use this, because I don't know who this is.
Put it like an anonymous, and like put like the question mark over their face.
Something, I don't know. And then that was the only thing I could do, and by that time it was too late, and so I just had to be like, well, I guess I'm not gonna have a story. Sorry, but sometimes it happens.
Hey, but you hopped on board right next week and got a story in, and it was amazing. The package, I still remember it. The shots, I remember sitting down with you and editing through them, and I'm like, wow, these are just good. And you had told me a little bit how you have some experience with this kind of stuff. And I was very much just like, okay, I'll just kind of like step back for a second, just kind of like check in if you need anything. And you just really rolled with the punches, and you were very resilient, and I was very thankful for that, because that week you just kind of ran with it and did what you could with the story. And every now and then, a story is going to fall through, and you just kind of have to take that in strides and keep moving.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a great lesson to learn, and I learned it pretty quick. So.
Exactly. And has BNN been like kind of like an interesting segue? Are you thinking about getting more into reporting after college? That time.
that definitely has been the plan. When I first started, I thought I wanted to do writing, but then I had CJ 321, and that was my intro to broadcast, and I was like, that's where I'm going. That's what I'm doing, because I loved it. I love it every time I do it. I love going to events, getting interviews, taking fun artsy video shots. I think that's always the fun thing to do. And so from then on, I was like, broadcast.
No, exactly, and that's one of the things that I remember telling you guys about, is that you'll start to see the world in stories, and what can be a story, what can't be a story, and you'll start seeing things, and like being there at an event is like exciting, being able to partake in it. But there's something fun about like having the camera and running around. I remember when Marissa and I did a story on one of the dances, the Viennese ball. And we brought the camera in, we got all the shots. For some reason, I thought it would be smart to dress in dress shoes for that day. But still, it was an exciting experience, because you get that feeling of being like boots on the ground reporting, and it's just something exciting. So
yeah, and it's a little fun to be like, I'm with the press.
Yeah, I'm with the press. I have the press badge. we do enjoy that. But well, hopefully you've been enjoying the experiences at BNN. And we thank you for all your hard work, especially with that story that we saw earlier today. So, but anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us on BNN TalkBack. Stick with us as we'll be rolling into our next episode of Epilogue this week. So stick around. Welcome back, everyone, to Epilogue. This week we are taking a look at some of our most recent favorite films. This first up is my favorite new film, Oppenheimer. Near the end of World War II, a talented and brilliant physicist named J. Robert Oppenheimer is tasked with an enormous project labeled the Manhattan Project. Oppenheimer and a team of scientists from across the United States create the next generation of warfare, the A-bomb. This decision would change the course of history and set humanity on the razor's edge of self-destruction. So have you seen Oppenheimer?
You know, you're going to laugh, but I haven't.
It's so this one's gonna be interesting, because if you're looking at the presentation, I actually gave it a 3 out of 5, because I don't think Oppenheimer is a good movie. I think it's actually, hot take.
This is a hot take.
I don't think it's actually a good movie. It's very confusing. There's a lot of like heavy, dense science that probably goes over a lot of the audience's head, or at least it did for me. And there's a lot. It's a 3-hour movie. I think it's like 3 and some change.
It's long.
And a lot of the time we've been seeing in movies that they've just been getting longer and longer. And you don't necessarily need to have a long movie if you don't have the things to fill it, or like the content to fill it. And I think Oppenheimer struggles with that a little bit. While I don't think it's a good movie, I do think it's definitely a movie worth seeing, though, because it definitely has some deep-seated questions that we have to ask about ourselves as humans, specifically with the A-bomb and its creation. That was a huge thing. That was a very divisive decision that the United States made.
Absolutely.
And like I said, it set us on the edge, like always, constant worry of mutually assured destruction. And this movie really digs into the atom bomb's creation and that effect that it has had on society and the world from that point on. There's this really, really strong scene at the end where they say, if we do this, have we destroyed the world? And while the world is not like in a nuclear, like just wasteland right now, some could say that the creation of it has left us worse than it did
Before it had been created.
before it had been created. It's a very interesting film. It's a very
Yeah, it looks interesting.
It left me with a headache.
It's a heavy topic.
It
and
is
it
very.
asks a lot of ethical questions.
It does.
About something that people maybe don't think about. In a day like this, especially in the U.S.
Yeah.
I don't think people think about it as much as maybe we should.
No, we really don't. And I think that this movie places that those thoughts like at the forefront of everyone's minds and really makes you think. I remember after I watched the film, there was like a solid hour of me just being quiet, which is very unnormal for me. And I was just sitting there and thinking about it. And not a lot of movies have done that. And that's why I definitely think it's a worthwhile movie worth seeing. But it's just definitely a hard-hitting film.
Well, very interesting. Quite the hot take there, Alex.
Oh.
I appreciate a hot take.
Yeah, no, but it is a really good film. I would definitely recommend seeing it. If you do, watch it at home so that you can like take breaks because you need a break in the middle of that film.
Mental break. Watch
Yeah.
some of my movie choice, actually.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're going to move on to our next film. Next up is my favorite recent film, but also not recent film, Barbie. So Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living among humans. Now, Barbie's no secret, right? Everybody knows about Barbie.
Indeed.
And, it's funny that we ended up picking Barbie and Oppenheimer. It was, we were due for a Barbenheimer weekend.
Yeah,
and
we have a
came over.
Barbenheimer episode of Epilogue, it looks like.
Over the summer, they both came out, and I think it's a good time to talk about them, if any, because, they haven't gotten our takes on them yet.
Exactly.
So it's interesting because Barbie poses a lot of questions. It's one of those movies that people were looking at initially, right, when it was proposed to do a live-action Barbie with Margot Robbie at the forefront as Barbie, as a joke. Because, a live-action Barbie, it hasn't been done before. And
we've seen numerous animated films.
There's been so many animated Barbie films, and they make up a lot of my childhood, if I'm honest. But, Barbie is a beloved character, beloved by some, hated by some others. And it really kind of plays with a lot of ideas. It's very tongue-in-cheek, I would say, throughout the film, references to the several various Barbie movies and to the public opinion of Barbie as it has shifted over time. She starts as this ideal woman, right, the perfect woman. And Barbie moves on, to become something that American girls really, really do not like for a long time because she presents a set of ideals, that can be seen as archaic and outdated and, uncomfortable to kind of compare yourself to.
Kind of like in some ways what social media has done to society.
Right, social media and Barbie
Sets a
had
standard.
a similar role.
Yeah.
Exactly.
An
a
unattainable standard.
Exactly. So it's interesting, that we really get to see. It was a very emotional movie for me, growing up with Barbie and, I always loved Barbie, but kind of getting to see like really a human perspective, more human than many movies, on what it's like to grow up as, somebody who looks up to Barbie, to grow up, as maybe a young woman or a person who identifies with Barbie. And it's really spectacular to see how human and the conversations that had been had in the wake of the movie. Even up until now, we're seeing conversation about Barbie and certain scenes, America Ferrera has that fantastic monologue about womanhood and girlhood and Barbie and what it meant to her. It's a very standout scene that a lot of people have noticed and have commented on. And actually for me, there were smaller moments that really got me.
It's the small movies that make up the larger parts of the films.
Really,
honestly.
Absolutely. And I just felt like all the small details and how raw and emotional Margot Robbie is up until the end, as we see this sort of Barbie demeanor crack. It's like the shell has come off and she's human. And it's unreal to think about that. And it also, not only poses the question of gender roles for people who identify as female, but also for people who identify as male. Because a lot of our gender roles in society, it's not a one-sided scale. A negative view of women in society also creates a negative view of men in society. And that's something that I think Barbie really toys with a lot. We are more than just the sum of our parts, I think is a huge message among other really important messages given in Barbie.
No, I definitely agree. And it can be seen in the box office. Barbenheimer weekend was one of like the largest box office returns. People went out to see those two movies. And
They really did.
I think it can be said that there's a change coming, I feel like, within the cinematic world. It's some new movies that are really trying to hit into some hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, if nothing else, you know, Barbenheimer and everything that came with it, you know, I wouldn't say it's created a cultural shift yet, but I would say that there has
Things
been
are changing.
Some thinking.
Yeah,
Thinking has happened.
Yeah,
and
there's
it's
definitely
still
been a
happening.
turn.
Well, exciting.
Yeah, some two hard-hitting movies. Very
Absolutely,
hard-hitting.
absolutely, and good that we could still talk about them this far into the year.
Exactly. But I think that's all we have.
Yeah, that's all we have for you tonight.
Join us next week for your latest news, updates, and weather.
Make sure to check out TV10 on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. I'm Marissa Day.
And I'm Alex Rubio. Thank you, and good night.